bom?
Tá. Oi? Olá, pessoal, boa tarde. Meu nome é Márcio Aquiles, eu sou coordenador de projetos internacionais aqui na Escola de Teatro. Hoje a gente vai receber uma palestra muito bacana da professora Martha Katsaridou. Ela trabalha com pedagogia social e teatro do oprimido na Grécia. Ela é doutora pela Aristotle University of Thessaloniki e atualmente trabalha como professora na Universidade de Tessali. Esse é um tema muito caro para nós, porque um dos pilares do sistema pedagógico da Escola de Teatro é o conceito de território solidário do geógrafo brasileiro Milton Santos e também a pedagogia da autonomia do Paulo Freire. Então, são questões que sempre reverberam e estão sendo abordadas aqui, tanto no nosso curso técnico em teatro, quanto nos nossos cursos de extensão cultural. Pois bem, essa vai ser uma palestra em inglês, e eu acho que é um exercício, mesmo para quem não fala, não é absolutamente fluente, muito bacana, porque a gente só treina o ouvido e melhora alguma língua estrangeira quando a gente pratica, né? E ouve bastante, sobretudo, né? Então, eu deixo esse convite mesmo para quem não seja fluente, acredite, é sempre um exercício muito frutífero e importante para a carreira de todos nós, né? Porque só ouvindo muito e mesmo entendendo aos poucos, não absolutamente tudo, é que a gente vai aperfeiçoando, né, nossas línguas estrangeiras. Bom, então eu vou chamar aqui a Martha e desejo a todas e todos uma boa palestra. So, Martha, I would like to thank you again. Now I invite you to come with us here on YouTube of SP Theatre School. And I wish you all a nice seminar. And thank you so much for this proposal that you made to us. It's a very interesting theme, and I'm very excited to listen to you. So, see you. Have a nice talk.
Boa tarde a todos. Hello to everybody. Obrigada. Thank you very much, Marcio. Thank you very much for being so open and from the very first beginning and accepting to welcome me to the Escola de Teatro and preparing this online lecture. I'm very happy to be here with you, and congratulations on your excellent work. So about the lecture, let me do the sharing. So now we can see the first slide about the lecture, applying theater to the community, an intervention with the Roma people in Greece. In the introductory part of this lecture, this part is dedicated to the brief presentation of the field of theater education in formal and non-formal education in Greece. The lecture mainly focuses on my 10-year experience applying drama and theater as a social intervention in a Roma community, aiming mostly at its empowerment. In the projects that are being analyzed, different forms of applied theater have been used, such as drama, form theater, community theater, and verbatim theater. But let me start with the introductory portion and briefly present to you the field of theater education in Greece. Yes. The field of theater education in Greek formal education could be described as follows. In preschool education, ages 4 to 6 years old, drama and theater can constitute an alternative approach for certain areas of the curriculum. The preschool education teachers are encouraged to utilize games, role-playing, dramatization of stories, and puppetry during the school day. Moreover, children often perform short theater plays for various celebrations, Christmas, and at the end of the school year, etc. So in primary education, ages 6 to 12 years old, for almost the last 20 years, there has been in 1 hour, it's about 40 minutes, 1 hour in Greek school, called theater education, the lesson, which was initially optional for students and only on an extended timetable. However, from 2010 to 11, it was included for all 6 classes on primary school in the morning school period. Since 2015, 2016, it has only been taught to the first 4 classes of the primary school. The subject is taught by teachers who have graduated from university theater departments. Of course, theater drama can be an alternative approach for all other subjects of the primary school curriculum, and it is proposed as such to primary school teachers. Now, about lower and upper secondary education, ages 12 to 18 years old, theater drama teaching is mostly linked with ancient Greek lessons and generally language and literature lessons. Sometimes theater drama is combined with optional extracurricular thematic projects for culture, health, and environmental education, or voluntary extracurricular activities, such as putting on a play at the end of the school year. In the 1990s, theater education was introduced as an optional subject for 1 hour per week in the first class of upper education, but this lesson is no longer offered. Since 2003, theater education as a specific subject is taught by graduates of university theater departments and only in the arts high school, which follow an art-based curriculum, and students can follow one of the 3 offered strands: theater, dance, and visual arts. So now at universities, drama theater education as a subject in a research area is taught in 4 university theater departments and almost in all pedagogy departments of early childhood or primary education. Over recent years, drama and theater education postgraduate programs have appeared as well. Briefly, drama and theater in non-formal education in Greece could be described as follows. Professional theaters such as the National Theatre of Athens or the National Theatre in Northern Greece, Thessaloniki, or regional municipal theaters, as well as professional theatre companies, stage plays for children and young people and develop various theatre and education programs that primary or secondary schools can visit. A number of national associations, such as the Hellenic Theatre Drama and Education Network, which is a member of IDEA, the Asites Hellas, and the Unima Hellas Puppet Association, among others, also operate within the broad field drama theatre education. Moreover, some NGOs employ theatre professionals to work with vulnerable social groups on specific projects. It is of high importance that special emphasis has been given to drama and theatre projects that refer to social aims and constitute social interventions. For example, programs over recent years aimed at raising awareness for refugee and human rights. So now we're passing to the second part of the lecture, the main part. Let me share with you, in the time I have, my own 10-year experience working then as a primary school teacher in the Anthropotamos between the years 2007 to 2017, when I left to work at the university. The Anthropotamos is an area where the majority of population are Roma people. Roma people in Greece, according to the population census in 2011, constitute 2.47% of the total Greek population. Before starting, I believe some interesting information about the intercultural school and its community is considered necessary. The third intercultural school, and here you see the old building and the new building in the pictures, is a school situated in the Anthropotamos, a low-income, degraded and social marginalized area, which is characterized by high delinquency. It is located in Western Thessaloniki, the second largest city in Greece. The vast majority of the area's residents are Roma people, gypsies or Tsigani or Athingani, in addition to which are very small percentages of Albanians, Russians, and Greeks. More specifically, there is a large number of poor, illiterate, and socially excluded Roma people who face inadequate housing and health problems, unemployment, and although they have been Greek citizens for many years, they have existed in a state of segregation from mainstream society. Subsequently, there is a large percentage of Roma students who never gain access to public education in Greece, and when they do so, they often face many learning problems in the process of educational integration, resulting in them dropping out of school early. In addition, the Roma language in Greece, Romani or Romanes, which is mostly oral, yet it's flexible and has many variations due to the frequent movement and settlement of Roma people across various countries, is not taught at school as it is not included in the national curriculum. At the same time, Roma students experience a state of social diglossia, with Greek as a school language variety of high status and Romani a linguistic variety of low status. Thus, among the factors for exclusion from education, which include linguistic and cultural differences, different religious aspects of their life, the segregation, racism, and the general marginalization of minorities, it is necessary to add the fact that, in general, schools are poorly prepared to attend the needs of Roma children and their families. There is a lack of a special, flexible curriculum and corresponding textbooks, a lack of knowledge and training for teachers to be able to meet the education needs of Roma children, as well as the fact that Romani culture, history, and language are absent from school curricula. In this part of the lecture, we will go through some information about the theoretical framework of these interventions. So about the theoretical part. The adoption of a more general educational and social policy which supports the principles of intercultural education and focuses on mutual recognition, respect, interaction, and cultural exchange, both between different cultural and social groups and between individuals, is clearly a necessity for modern education at all school levels. Intercultural education is not about specific national, ethnic, or cultural groups, but is a movement for all students and citizens, as it recognizes that national and cultural diversity makes a country richer and increases the ways in which its citizens can perceive and solve personal and public problems. At the same time, according to critical multiculturalism, which deals with issues of justice and social change and their relationship to education, every culture has its place in the educational process, and every individual needs to feel safe and accepted in terms of their diversity and the diversity of the rest of their classmates. The aim is to promote an educational policy and social policy based on principles of democracy, equality, and social justice, in which the emancipation and empowerment of students is necessary. The development of a strong individual identity, as well as a proud and well-informed collective identity, are basic preconditions for the empowerment of an individual in order to be able to resist the assaults of racism. In this context, critical pedagogy and Freire's problem-posing education as a humanistic and liberated praxis becomes an urgent need. Social justice, democracy, and collaborative learning with political content are some of the basic principles of critical pedagogy. Through dialogue and praxis, its goal is the continuous revelation and intervention in reality, the deepening of historical and critical awareness and empowerment against forms of oppression imposed by social, economic, and cultural inequalities, as well as corresponding power relations. And finally, the imperative struggle for social transformation to a just and democratic world. The need of children and people in general to feel safe and secure in their many identities and diversity, as well as to feel pride for their families, is supported by anti-bias education, which proposes for educators to design their work based on the specific cultural backgrounds of individual children and families they serve. In this context, the role of cultural heritage is particularly important for cultural identity, as heritage comprises those things that underpin people's identity as communities at the national, regional, local, even family level. Cultural heritage, interactive, dynamic, cohesive, and transmitted from generation to generation, can offer great potential for teaching and learning processes. This is why, over recent years, students in the field of heritage education have increasingly been developed, considering heritage elements as objectives, content, and resources for approaching social knowledge. Moreover, recognition of, respect for, and enhancement of intangible cultural heritage through educational and information projects constitute an important means for the promotion of social integration and the empowerment of minorities, intercultural dialogue, and multilingual education. But whose heritage is being referred to, and whose is defining it from who? These two crucial questions by Simon and Ashley express the need to refrain from a type of nationalism that is reduced to the dominant discourse and suppresses at the multicultural complexities present in contemporary nations. There should be a resistance to the tendencies to construct a universal heritage that does not include the real differences in people's life, as well as the terms on which these differences have been constructed. Heritage may be about cultural change, such as challenging the ways in which communities are perceived and classified by others, or negotiating existing identities and new ways of being. Taking into consideration all this literature, as well as Dennis Bern's view that heritage is a field that is high contested and social groups which have most power have most chances of having their story or experience commemorated as history, in the projects that follow, we set the aim of facilitating the visibility of the Roma minority group in order for them to no longer remain invisible in the heritage landscape, and also to build on their unique Romani culture, language, experiences, and strengths, and enable them to acquire the information, skills, and values needed to challenge inequality within their community. Now, about art, Dewey states that art is the most effective mode of communication that exists, and that science states meaning, art expresses it. Elliot Iser refers to Dewey's view and explains that the arts promote a form of understanding that is derived or evoked through empathic experience, an experience in which participants can feel what they cannot see directly, where they can express their emotions. He believes that the common mission of all the arts is to share in the achieving of expressiveness throughout the various ways in which form has been crafted. Theater and drama that have been applied to most interventions offer the opportunity for people to participate in challenging and stimulating experiences which invite them to not only understand the art of theater, but also to use it to reach a deeper understanding of themselves and the world around them. More specifically, during the improvised, participatory, and secure process, the participants are welcome to participate in two worlds at the same time, the real and the fictitious. Thus, theatrical and drama processes can offer an effective and secure context in which all people can try out, experiment with new ideas, values, roles, and language in action. This is especially relevant for minority students who are not offered the same opportunities by the society. Thus, they have the chance to bring into the dramatic action socio-political aspects of the reality they are living in and try to change it. From passive recipients, they now have the opportunity to become active meaning makers who create human meaning through imagined actions and language that corresponds to real life actions and language. Thus, through the theatrical experience, minority groups have the opportunity to perceive reality differently and in a way reach the real consciousness for the world, a fact that can empower them and encourage them to seek for social change. So now at this part of the lecture, let me share some of these experiences. In the description of this project below, drama and theater can variably be seen as an art form focused on the aesthetic through performances, or as a teaching approach within the curriculum, or last but not least, as a social intervention. There is a reluctance to make a neat separation between these three aims, as most of the time these elements are combined. So as far as using theater as a teaching approach is concerned, teaching literature through drama is the project I have chosen to share with you. In a few words, the aforementioned project constitutes my PhD dissertation, which was realized in 2007-2008 with 17 Roma, Greek, Russian, and Albanian students that were 10 to 11 years old. The basic purpose of the PhD thesis was to put into practice the reading program Reading Literature at School, which was devised by the research group for the teaching of literature of Aristotle University in Thessaloniki. The reading objectives that were set included the recognition of the value of reading by the children, giving meaning to text, recalling personal experiences, living in social situations, and changing attitudes. Of course, there were combined objectives concerning drama, as well as intercultural education, such as self-confidence, respect to the other, and empowerment of the multicultural students. During the drama experience, the same common elements of theater were shared, such as the fictional context, roles, the purpose and tasks, the focus, tension, time, audience, location, participant group, language and movement, and finally, the mood, symbol, and meaning. Moreover, the students were able to explore meaning through a variety of conventions, for example, I mean interactive theater forms of interchange, which respond to a basic human need to interpret and express the world through symbolic form. The world of literature activated the dramatic world. In other words, literature offered the occasions for initiating the dramatic action. From the very first days, the children's response to drama was amazing. Through drama, they showed their will to express themselves, participate, to share things, to explore the world, to attend school every day. The language of theater was placed above all the native languages of the class. The thematic unit to be chosen by the class concerned the journey. Based on the students' interests and needs, they decided to explore different journeys throughout literature and drama, such as journeys of refugees, of immigrants, of famous explorers, of sailors, a journey in ancient Greece, and a journey in space. It is of high importance that in every different journey, the class focused on the other, a different person that faced difficulties in its society, a refugee, an immigrant, a slave, or a woman in ancient Greece. It was the other character that they tried to explore, help, and find solutions through specific drama conventions, such as image theater, diaries, collective character, hot seat, and forum theater. Literature, either small text or whole books, provided a safe framework in which children explored their understanding of the world according to their personal needs and experiences. Theater roles created the safe means for this exploration. At the end of the project, most of the children, 14 out of 17 of the class, had read all of their book, and the rest had read over half of the book. There were some children who asked to read a second or a third book apart from their own. A fact of great importance is that most of the children had never read a literature book before that, nor they could recognize its value until then. On the contrary, in the beginning we had some students who shared their experiences and mentioned the need they had to burn books in order to heat their houses or tents. Finally, through drama and literature, they were able to analyze and give meaning to their personal stories, to be critical about their everyday life, and shed lights on their own problems and difficulties are marginalized people who were trying to create solutions. During the project, many theater of the oppressed techniques were used, which turned out to be the favorites for the class. This was confirmed by the forum theater performance that the class chose to perform 1 year later in 2008-2009 in the Museum of Byzantine Culture of Thessaloniki, which is the next project I'm going to talk about. Before sharing this forum theater experience, let me give you some interesting information about the framework of the cooperation between the intercultural school and the museum. The Museum of Byzantine Culture in Thessaloniki, northern Greece, is a state museum which is considered to be one of the most important museums in Greece. It was awarded the Council of Europe 2005 Museum Prize for restoring and studying the remnants of Byzantine Empire in northern Greece and offering its visitors the chance to learn about Byzantine culture. As with many museums today, the Museum of Byzantine Culture is seeking more and more new ways to approach and involve its public so that people who are not frequent museum goers might change their view about museums and to cultivate a visitor-friendly relationship with them. In the context of these efforts, the members of the museum's educational department several times invited the intercultural school to be involved into its event projects. The forum theater performance in 2009 was the second time the school had cooperated with the museum. The 5th grade children of the Anthropotamos, having participated in the literature and drama project for a year, had gradually become mostly interested in the process of revealing their reality and the overt or hidden oppression they experienced, as well as finding solutions to remove it. Realizing the above need, they expressed the desire for social change. Thus, the decision was made in response to the museum's invitation to select Boal's Forum Theatre, which is associated with the above desire and need on the part of the oppressed. The fact that the class's Forum Theatre performance would take place at a major public institution, such as the aforementioned museum, was a great encouragement for the children who wanted to share aspects of their everyday life and reality so that their voices would be heard loudly. Working on Boal's 3 stages of theatre as language, that is simultaneous dramaturgy, image theatre, and forum theatre, the children of the intercultural class shared their ideas, views, personal experiences, and explored the generative themes they were interested in. By using material from children's contribution, as well as books and articles, the class was led to important choices. They were ready to share their story, which contained a social problem. They knew what and who was oppressing their protagonist. they needed to try out solutions by stopping the dramatic action and by replacing some of the roles. More specifically, their story had to do with the diversity and social exclusion of different people by the mainstream population and common problem in the intercultural school, which was a common problem and desire and need for social change. The students' aim was to share their problem and provoke a discussion about things that should be done about social exclusion. They had an opportunity to present everyday attitudes and reactions that referenced school social exclusion and to propose different actions and solutions in order to solve these problems. Every member of the class could be the oppressed protagonist, irrespective of their ethnicity, culture, religion, and learning profile. They were able to criticize sociopolitical aspects of their reality, which helped them empower themselves. In this way, marginalized people who may never have planned to visit a place like the museum became familiar with a public institution, while their needs and experiences shared through theater problematized the rest of the people. It is important to briefly mention that 9 months after the Forum Theatre performance in February 2010, we cooperated with the museum on a project, a drama workshop, that was mostly aimed at the exhibits of the permanent exhibition of the museum with the history of Roma people. The project aim was that through knowledge of the history of their ethnic group during the Byzantine period, the drama students and their parents would become empowered and would develop respect, pride, and protective feelings for their culture. For this reason, the fairy tale, The Wizards from the East, which was taken from the book The Great Shadow and Romani People by Philippos Mambilaras, was chosen to be dramatized by the children inside the museum's rooms. The theme of the fairy tale concerned the Romani people during the years of the Byzantine Empire. So the story was about an incident that took place in Constantinople, Istanbul, the capital of Byzantine Empire, where a group of Roma people were invited to help the Emperor Constantine IX Monomachos get rid of wild beasts that had infested the Emperor's forest. Indeed, the Roma people arrived at the palace and helped the Emperor. However, it was not through magic words and potions that they saved the forest from the wild beasts. It was through practical thinking and everyday cleverness. In this way, the story leaves the reader with a question of whether the Romani people were wizards, as the others thought of them, or just clever and practical people. The story was based on the bibliographical source from that era, but combined the historical and the fictional elements. As the author notes, the book aims to develop self-awareness, self-activity, and self-respect for the Romani people. The purpose of the project was to involve not only the students, but their parents too. So each child would be accompanied by an adult, but the way the students would participate in the dramatization would be different from their parents' participation. More specifically, the children would take part in the drama workshop based on the fairy tale, while their parents would be told the same fairy tale by combining a narration and a guided tour through the rooms of the museum. In the end, they would attend the improvised performance prepared by their children. During the storytelling, games, drama, and theater techniques were applied, which helped the children to unfold, understand, and finally to dramatize the fairy tale, while several museum exhibits were chosen to be features which were linked with the fairy tale. In the last part of the project, the dramatization, the children, apart from using selected drama convention so as to present their story, shed light on the view that the Romani people were clever and practical people and not wizards. According to the Roma students and their parents, the whole project that took place inside the museum concerning the historical role of the Roma people during a specific part of the Byzantine period was an important experience for the whole Roma community who took part in it. According to their answers, it was an experience that involved them all and gave them the opportunity to not only gain knowledge about their roots and history, but also to know each other better, to become closer, and to arise in the dominant broader society and ask for their role in it. As one Roma mother confessed, it is important for us, and mostly for our children, to wake up, to cooperate and start building relationships with our community into the broader society, such as your museum. Indicatively, a Roma student proclaimed, "I'm very happy. We have our history too." Over recent years, the students in the Andropotamos have taken part in plenty other drama theater experiences, such as the big projects. In which big projects, schools from different areas of our hometown Thessaloniki would participate with a small skit based on devised theater in a thematic performance. Some of the themes that were chosen were "See You at the Schoolyard" in 2011, concerning the relationship of young people, or the project "Oh Love" in 2013, dealing with their feelings. In these performances, more than 100 students from different schools would participate and would perform this common aesthetic experience in one of the city's central theaters. For our students, who rarely had the chance to go beyond the borders of the unprivileged neighborhood of the Andropotamos, this was a huge opportunity, not only for getting out of the ghetto, let me use the word, but also to meet other students from different areas and share with them their everyday life experiences, problems, and dreams. In the same vein was the large project Monologues from Gaza in 2010, a big project based on 33 monologues written by 33 Palestinian students aged 14 to 18 years old, who shared their testimonies about the war on Gaza in 2009. In Thessaloniki, its monologue was presented by a different theater group, one of which was the theater group of the Andropotamos. The 10-year-old Roma students who participated in the project had the opportunity to come in contact with more than 200 other students, perform at the National Theatre of Thessaloniki, and express their ideas about theater as a tool for transformation. So for the last part of the lecture, I have chosen some projects which I find of high importance, as they were addressed to all Roma community, not just the students of the primary school. One example is the Laboratory of Social Theatre in 2013, which was addressed to the students, their parents, and members of their own community. It was created in the context of the school's opening to the marginalized society. The group consisted mainly of mothers with their primary school children. Secondary school students or young people who had dropped out of school early were later added. Initially, there was great difficulty in coordinating the project, and there was constantly a change in date and time of the laboratory in order to meet various needs. During the meetings, participants felt the desire to participate, share stories, and feel creative. At the same time, however, they felt constrained and had difficulty in sharing their experiences, as they worried about disclosing personal information. In order to create a climate of respect and safety, we as facilitators proposed the animation of objects, then the use of shadow theater, and later drama theater. Gradually, through role plays, participants were able to represent conditions of their everyday daily lives, express personal views, and explore the views of others. Through the dramatic experience, they had the opportunity to share problems or difficulties that group members had encountered from time to time, to suggest alternatives and solutions, and through theatrical action, to ask for real action. At the end of the year, At its request, the group presented 2 theater performances, one in the context of school events to celebrate World Roma Day on the 8th of April 2012, and the second was presented at the 14th Anti-Racism Festival of Thessaloniki. The performances referred to experiences that the Roma people felt the need to share. The first was about the increased obligations of Roma children to their families, as older children are often called upon to take on the role of parents to younger siblings due to their parents' professional responsibilities. The second was about the social exclusion of a school year due to her diversity, family and economic difficulties, and the school violence she faced from a ghetto of her classmates. The last 2 projects I'm going to share with you are really important to me. The first because it was the first and most coordinated effort where the whole Roma community, even the great grandparents, truly collaborated. And the second, as it was the most recent, and for me, the last as a primary school teacher, a project in Metropotamus. In both projects, theater as aesthetics and social intervention is inextricably linked to Romani cultural heritage. Moreover, in both projects, all the Roma community participated as researchers, striving to research and reveal aspects of their cultural heritage and to enrich and renew perspectives of local heritage. The first of these projects was in 2015 and started as an initiative from some of my students attending the 5th grade, namely 11 to 12 years old, who had the idea to celebrate World Day, Roma Day, the 8th of April, with the research of cultural elements of their own heritage, such as songs, customs, traditions, and fairy tales. Moreover, the children, having realized from previous conversations and experiences the lack of knowledge generally about their history, about language development and change, and also Roma stories about their neighborhood, were willing to participate in a social project in order to discover more things about themselves. Certainly, they could easily recognize differences between them with regards to the Roma language or their customs. They were raised by their families as people who belonged to different Roma ethnic groups of the neighborhood, and everything that this implies about existence of stereotyped views. What they were searching for was their past, their roots, their community stories, an initiative they could not clearly see in older people, nor they could find in the national curriculum at school. In the context of this attempt, students were divided into small groups in order to start the social investigation of their unprivileged but mysterious community. Many questions were raised. Had it always been poor and marginalized? When did Roma families arrive in Metropotamus? What was their region of origin? Why does the Roma language spoken in Metropotamus have so much linguistic variation? Many questions drove the students towards stories of the deep past. Others were more interested in foregrounding the importance of normal people and their everyday experiences in the neighborhood. After all, community theater might be able to tell stories which the media usually ignores and demonstrate the value of those stories. A third group of children was mostly interested in researching and highlighting Roma culture's elements, such as local traditions, customs, fairy tales, lullabies, and songs. Naturally, their research automatically led them not only to their parents, but also to their grandparents, and finally to their great-grandparents. The elders' first reaction differentiated. They could be characterized by indifference and surprise. But as the project moved along, they became more engaged, more interested in offering their knowledge and experience and in searching and recalling with their children their own community stories and past. I was very touched as children with their parents, their grandparents, and great-grandparents cooperated in this community project. They visited specific parts of the neighborhood where community stories were held. Moreover, they tried to give life to them by taking roles and improvising them, with elders advising them with extra information and text to be used. Two improvisation took place there, improvisation in which children tried to use the exact words and phrases of older people as much as they could, so as to follow the methods of verbatim theater. Meanwhile, another group of students studied bibliographical resources about Roma people, such as books, articles, vocabularies, and video documentaries, research material which was added to the narration of the final theater performance. The following step was to compose all of these valuable contributions and information material in an aesthetic and creative synthesis where all voices could be heard, all parts of the neighborhood could be viewed and be given life within a community theater performance. The first idea was to create a site-specific performance taking place in all those community places that the students had explored. Due to bureaucratic reasons, finally, the community theater performance took place inside the school in an attempt to perform all the voices, pictures, feelings, and stories in a promenade theater performance. It took place at different locations inside the school, such as classrooms, corridors, and the gym. A special feature was one classroom that was totally transformed into a traditional room where a Roma wedding could take place. Apart from the performance, a video, more specifically a social documentary, was created, which was projected on the same day as the performance. All the community responded with great enthusiasm to the school invitation. Through the process of community theater, participants had the chance to become creative and had the opportunity to explore the positive potential of their daily life. In addition, gaining a better understanding of their roots, their common bonds, and the history of their community, they became more empowered, more critical in their approach to their reality and asking for social change. After all, community theater asks for an audience that is open to change. Now, let me finish with one of my favorite projects, which is not characterized only by theater and drama, but also by music. And for me, it constitutes an important social intervention through the arts. More specifically, it is an Erasmus Plus European project called Migratory Musics, in which we try to work with the Romani culture heritage by introducing artistic actions into the community and transforming them into actions for social empowerment. In the project, which took place between 2017 and 2019, 19 Roma students aged 11 years old participated along with their families. From the very first moment, it became clear that both the Roma students and their young parents did not have strong memories of lullabies, children's songs, or anything that could be combined with their musical experience in their mother tongue. Their recollections were general and vague, with frequent references to well-known contemporary Greek songs or to their grandparents' relevant experiences. As a teaching group, we decided to lead the students into a fictitious world of drama so as to motivate them to participate, strengthen their interest in the subject, and lead them in a process of exploring their cultural heritage. Feeling safe in the dramatic process, the Roma students shared experiences such as traditional celebrations, ceremonies, customs and parents' occupations, a bride preparation, flea markets, and traditional dances. Through continuous dialogue and reflection on the artistic material that was produced, they were critically engaged as they approached historical narratives and realized ideologies of exclusion. Some of the theater conventions that were applied included image theater, role on the wall, a day in life, hot sitting, meetings, diaries, and letters in role. As far as the musical elements of the project is concerned, motivated by the whole dramatic process, the student gradually responded in Greek and Roman music material, either sung by children or recorded by adults, had arrived in the classroom. During the music education workshop, as the class listened to the recorded musical pieces from the Roma children's grandparents, some students smiled or laughed, some felt shame and shyness, others felt the need to defend their language variety. Some of them argued whether the lyrics heard from the voices of the grandparents was in Arlia or Jirka, the two main language varieties that are spoken in community of the Anthropotamus. Thus, debate started among Roma children who, depending on the origin of their community, proposed different language versions. Through musical improvisations and simple dance moves, the Roma children were able to explore further aspects of their cultural heritage and felt the need to continue the traditions of their grandparents and learn the specific lullabies. They transformed their previous debate about the lyrics into an intercultural dialogue based on respect and care for all the students' references. Through active music approaches and experimentation, the class was led to a creative agreement on the lyrics, combining the two language varieties as well as the translation of the songs. The whole process led the class to further investigation of the past memories, personal or community experiences, and neighborhood stories where their own music played a decisive role. Family stories about wandering musicians, love stories about the custom of stealing the bride, as well as personal references were revealed. Some of the students confessed, at first, I was ashamed to listen to my grandfather's recorded lullaby in front of my classmates. It was weird to use our language. Now I will do it again. I want to sing in the Romani. All the above musical experiences was captured at a professional music studio where the songs were recorded in a final artistic product, a book CD. The whole process was completed in the event, which involved the Belgian, French, and Greek partners of the European project visiting the school in the Anthropotamus. The Roma students were excited to share their cultural background that they themselves had researched and to develop a space of cultural meaning, pride, and empowerment. Roma and Greek songs such as lullabies, traditional game songs, stories of drifting families and of Roma diversity, customs and traditions were shared with the visitors who interacted with the event. As Roma people said, they felt a sense of safety and respect that in turn allowed them the freedom to explore and express themselves without fear or negative critical judgment. Catalytic in this way was the role of the arts. Through drama, theater, and music, we had the opportunity to investigate the human experience and follow a holistic, integrated process where all participants were highly engaged and where the children participated as researchers. By knowing their roots, their common bonds, and the history of the Roma community, they realized the valorization of their cultural heritage in their lives and felt the need to be empowered and secure. On this journey, by the Roma students into the past and their roots, their families, parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents had been next to them, bequeathing their intangible cultural heritage, which had in turn been inherited by them, and keeping one generation in contact with the next, which is the case throughout the world. To conclude, apart from being very touched by all these experiences, I'm thrilled to share with you that 3 months ago, I had a Skype meeting with some of my former Roma students, the class that we worked on my PhD and on forum theater performance, who are now approximately 24 years old, all of them happy with their lives, jobs, and families, though they may still have difficulties and problems. What they announced to me was their will to create their own theater group for their community. I will always be beside them in support, but now it is in their hands. And this was the goal from the beginning. Thank you very much for listening to me and inviting me here. Muito obrigado. And let me now share with you a short video. It's about less than, it's almost 4 minutes, I think. Yes. I hope it's so. Thank you very much for this. Take care It was a great honor for me. Thank you very much, Espe, Escola de Teatro. Goodbye.